Hello! Welcome back, Nicholas. This is your first time in the commentator seat.
Yes.
So I'm expecting, since you're one of the best players in the office when it comes to Steel Division, so I'm expecting a lot of insights. We are here to watch the second game of the PDX in-house league. It's hashtag Tank Boys, A.K.A Daggers, versus Salt, Blood, and Milk.
I think so, yes.
Yes. But before we get into that, because they're playing it now, they're going to give us a replay once it's done. It turns out that if you have 2 days off with a public holiday, which it was in Sweden yesterday, it's hard to schedule games. Like, people have a lot to do. But so the game is live right now. Once it's done, we will get the replay and talk about it. So right now, we're going to go through the picks, the bans, some insights into the map, and the divisions picked. But before then, Alexander, if we go to my screen for a quick second, this is in now. And this just looks like a normal replay. But it's not. This is actually observing a live game that's currently ongoing. So observer mode is in. My understanding is that this is the first iteration of it. I love observer mode, so I'm going to have some opinions, but Niki just told me like an hour ago that it was in, so I'm sure there'll be more information about it later. But right now, you can actually go and observe. The way you can observe at the moment, and there might be more ways, but the one I directly found was if you go into custom games, you get to see the lobbies, and if they're live, you can click spectate straight away, and you get this. So things are looking up. Oh, is this? That took a while to pop in. That's unfortunate. But this is not the map we're going to be playing on, so I'm going to leave this because this is not our game. And if we can pop over to Niklas' screen again, thank you. I'm gonna go out here to my Slack channel where all of the important stuff happened just a few moments ago. Let me get into our very specific Steel Division multiplayer channel. So, if you watched us last week, you know that the way we do this is a 2v2. We start with a coin toss. The winner of that coin toss gets to pick either faction or map. And in this case, Niki and Henrik won the toss. They decided to go for faction, picked allies, which meant that it was up to Blood, Salt, and Milk to pick the map, and they picked Omaha. I thought if we can load in on a skirmish on Omaha, we can have a look at it, and then Niklas, you can be like, yes, this is what I expect.
Oh, I get to sit and pretend to know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. That's the most important part about streaming. Just being like, yes, I know everything. But more importantly, after the faction pick, of course, they also got to ban 2 divisions each. Niki and Henrik banned the 116 Panzer and the Fallskärmsjäger.
Third Fallskärmsjäger,
yes.
I think it is.
And Matt and Sebastian banned 3rd Armored and 3rd Canadian. Do you have any opinions on those bans?
Not specifically. Like on this map, I would probably have tried to ban more infantry and airborne divisions, since this is one of the hedgerow hell maps.
Mm-hmm.
So tanks are kind of limited use.
Yeah.
There is very little line of sight.
Yeah.
So abusing any sort of range is really, really hard, and the infantry combat will happen.
Yeah. So you would expect them to have picked for their divisions more infantry focused divisions.
Yeah, infantry, the airborne divisions, or perhaps the mechanized infantry.
Yeah. And for that reason also ban those divisions for the opposing side. That makes sense. We do actually have the battle groups here as well, but before we get into that, since we have the map loaded, what are you expecting to see, or what would you do on this map? if you were, say, the allies in this case?
Well, one of the more noticeable things is this like huge forest block in the middle, surrounded by only hedgerows.
Yeah.
And a single road. This road is one of the worst tank traps I have ever encountered. That is not like running straight through the town road in like St. Mary-Glees. Because there are 1001 places you can hide bazookas here.
Yeah, it's hard. You're not going to get through in case if you have an opponent that realizes what's going on.
Yeah, there are a couple of open fields. Like I think it is one here-ish, and again one here-ish.
Yeah.
But open is a very relative term on this map. There's not that many buildings that I think will come into play because like the larger town is hidden away in the corners, and if it actually gets pushed all the way there, the map is or the game is kind of.
I was going to say the thing I also find interesting, of course, is that we're playing on Conquest here, so taking more of the map matters, and the main roads here are just going straight up and down for the most part, and there aren't that many roads. It's going to take a while for the units to actually push forward. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that actually kind of does matter, because this forest ledge here, for example, is a really good place for in this case, the Axis to deploy, say, anti-tank, because you have a really good vision of this field, and it's just inside their border. But there aren't any roads leading there. So you would have to take this road and kind of drive in and then deploy, and that's slow.
So would you expect then, because we're on a bit of a slower map, so there's going to be a lot of positioning early and people being like, okay, I'm here, and then trying to see if the other players push, get rid of them, and then counter push?
Probably yes. And also this kind of map makes artillery matter a lot more, since artillery always matters, naturally. But since the map kind of slows things down, artillery actually gets better.
So that's Arthur Cash asks if we'll be experiencing the 2-minute delay for spectating in, I assume, the normal observer mode. I'm just going to bring this up. I haven't double checked, so I can't answer that. I think Eugen is streaming tomorrow, so they will be able to tell you more about that. But that's definitely something that we'll look into and give you a proper answer to. Should we, is there anything more you want to say about the map right now, or should we look at the battle groups the two teams have?
No, let's go to the battle groups.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up my battle groups here, because of course I have the allied battle groups, the 2nd Infantry, Indian Hand, and then it's the Polish division. Ooh, okay, so the unexpected, I would say. Would you agree that Henrik here is bringing an armored division?
In a way, yes, and in a way, no, because one infantry and one armored is still a very natural synergy between if you have to pick 2 divisions.
Yeah. So this is, my understanding is, I think this is pretty straightforward. There hasn't been much modification to this battle group. If I recall correctly, Henrik just went with the default, or let the game populate the battle group itself.
Yeah, it looks like it's auto-filled it.
Yeah. Anything that
there's a lot of Phase A fighters here.
Yes.
It's probably the most striking thing.
Are there any? Let's see. Are there any command units here? Because there are some that are experienced, but are there any actual command? I can't see any.
No, it doesn't look like it. We do have a couple of like the those ones, the actually infantry dragged, and the tank units is one of the like linchpins on a map like this, because hiding those everywhere will seriously limit the opponent's movements.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's nothing that really. It's not that much scouting units, or rather, the scouting units are all vehicles, and that's again, this is an infantry map.
Yeah, and I mean, I love recon because I like to see things. Then I don't know what to do with the things I see, but I love recon.
Shoot it.
Thanks. Good tip. Let's have a look at Niki's infantry division here. That's a lot more experience, which
Yes,
and I mean, the second infantry does have a lot of infantry slots. Not that much recon either.
no, only 4 in total.
That's
Yeah,
I would, considering the amount of hedgerows, wouldn't you have expected more?
yes, seriously. Like hedgerows blocks recon line of sight just as well as everything else. Recons are just better at seeing things that are in their line of sights. And again, we have phase A fighters. That seems unnecessary since you don't really need both players on a team to have that.
Yeah.
We have mortars. That's great because mortars are really, really good in this scenario.
It's actually some A anti-air here, so I'm guessing they're expecting there to be
Bofors cannons, I really like those actually.
Let's see, anti-tank.
And then we have a bunch of that's the heavier tank they can choose, I believe. The actual amphibious M4 DD tanks.
And there's nothing here in C for the tanks, so a lot of early pushing, but I guess that's kind of expected from infantry.
I'm actually not sure how much tanks the infantry divisions have.
I was going to say this might be. Actually, we can let's have a look and see what more is available. So they have some rhinos in C, and that's about it. I think I actually have a lot of rhinos in C if they want all 5 of them. How about we have a look at the axes? They should be on your screen.
Yes, so here we have yet again 1 infantry in the 352nd Infantry and the 21 Panzer. So exactly the same team composition with 1 infantry division and 1 armored. So let's see here. No air.
Ooh, okay. That's... Do we want to have a quick look and see at the other divisions, see if they decided to put all the air in one of them and just be like, I'm going to be the one controlling the air? Or if...
There's 3 here.
Okay, that's not a lot of air.
No, that's simply very little air.
That's a I was going to say bold strategy, but they've pushed it. They have a lot of infantry.
Yeah, but in a way, like that could work, since if you can simply deploy a lot of the anti-air, and they have picked a crap ton of the Flak 88s here, and simply basically ignore the air layer, you will have one less thing to focus about. And especially if you're a newer player, that might be a thing you could try out.
And
like proper strategy way, I wouldn't recommend it, since air power can be, well, really powerful.
Yeah.
And you will have a hard time actually shooting down anything without fighters.
On the flip side, not just no air, but a lot of recon.
Yeah, we have a
that's a like
proper amount of recon,
which is that's a lot of infantry. That's a lot of that's
no lead units again.
No.
But they have brought some of the Stern Pioneers, which are kind of great in close quarters because they have a flamethrower. And a lot of machine guns, which is probably a good idea on this map, actually.
Well, late tanks, but not very many tanks. Not surprising on the...
Yeah, they brought the Stugs. Do they have any... Yeah, they do have these really cheapo Phase 1 tanks. They have brought the infantry guns. That might be a good idea on this map also. These basically works like the... again, we have a ton of the anti-tank units also. But against infantry and good amounts of... Yeah. There's nothing really out of place here apart from the complete lack of air. Have a couple of mortars, the really long range artillery. I think this might be the longest range artillery in the game, actually.
Interesting.
And they have the really, really big anti-tank. I think these are, again, the heaviest. Oh, and they actually brought the Jagged Panther.
Well, I mean, that's fun.
Yeah, that's a kind of fun. But there's a lot of very heavy anti-tank here, and a lot of the lighter ones. So yeah.
I mean, I guess not that surprising considering they've decided we don't have any tanks of our own. We're just going to make sure that we can shoot down the ones that come up against us.
Yeah, and these can shoot down literally anything the allies can deploy. I think the Jumbo is one of the heaviest armored units, or the Aver, and I don't think they reach over 20, either of them. So
we have a question about if this is live or not. There will be a replay cast of the battle that's currently ongoing. We'd love to stream it live now that observer mode is in, but unfortunately one of our players had to leave in about like 10 minutes, and a game lasts a bit longer than that since we want to do this run through as well. But it will be a fresh replay cast, so we don't actually know how it's going to end, and the only people that do know are going to be the players, and hopefully they won't tell us. So what can we see here?
Proper amount of recon at least, and okay, we actually do have a lead unit here.
Yeah. So, like, and there's a Panzer IV, a Befälspanzer as well in the tank division.
Yes, and they actually have chosen a one of the veteran units.
Yeah.
And an actual Königstiger also.
So that's I don't know what to say about that. But I mean, it's almost no anti-air, very little artillery. But then again, the other battle group did have a lot of artillery.
Yeah, but
this is also only A artillery.
Yeah, they're choosing these. I'm not even gonna pretend I can pronounce this, which is a rocket artillery. And rocket artillery, at the general, is they shoot a lot, but then have to reload over a fairly long time. Yeah. I've never personally been a big fan of these, since I consider them far too slow. Especially for a Phase A unit, like the mortar trucks or even like the standard mortars have a much higher fire rate. These you will fire once and then have to reload for half a phase or so. So you really have to make it matter, and that's kind of hard in Phase A because you really want to barrage a strong point with them, and you won't have strong points. You will have this ish line of infantry trying to hold the line. Otherwise, as you said, there's very little anti-air and very little artillery overall, but the other battle groups did have those aplenty. They have picked the support flame units, which is this two-man battalion. Again, something I've never personally been a fan of because I think they die far too easily.
Yeah, there's not that many of them, he said, obviously.
Yeah. But again, if you can get your flamethrowers in range, like for example in the huge forest thicket, they will decimate infantry. The problem is naturally getting them into range. Otherwise, let's take a look at the amount of tanks, since it is an armored division. A crap ton of the Phase B Panzers here.
I find it interesting that they've decided to, because they do have a lot of Befälspanzer in A, but they haven't picked any of them. They picked a Befälspanzer in B. What do you think about getting a Befälspanzer early, since they have them, right? Again, I guess they don't know that there's like almost no leader units anywhere on the map. So I guess that makes it, since we know, that kind of makes I was going to say Befäls unit, but leader units slightly stronger since you have an advantage.
Well, again, obviously enough, Befäl units, leader units, gets better the more units are around them, since they grant their bonus to more units. So, strictly speaking, there's not that huge a boon to have like only a few of them, and then not much else. But seeing as they do have a large amount of...
Oh, yeah, I hadn't realized how much B tanks they actually have. That's a lot of Panzer IV.
Yeah. So, no, I think this is okay. It's like a few of the really light ones in phase A, just in case you want to deploy them.
Yeah.
Then this is a lot of Panthers in phase B, then the really elite ones in phase C.
And of course,
These are actually, funnily enough, I think they're slightly lighter than the Königstigers that the Panzer Lehr has.
mm-hmm.
But they're still basically the heaviest tanks in the game. So you need to bring some, since they are 19 armor, you need to bring something very serious to penetrate it. But again, since range will be a limiting factor on the map, you won't be able to use, like, some of the tanks do have a range advantage in 1200 instead of just 1000.
And it seems like the game has been completed, but they do need some assistance from Nicholas here to find out where the replay file is. So we're gonna take a short break. I'm gonna stick around. You go help them out, or rather, Nicholas is gonna take a short break to try and help them as soon as possible. In the meantime, if you have any questions, I will try my very best to answer them. Worst case scenario, I'll just have to be like, I don't know, ask Eugen, which happens from time to time. Isn't using flamethrowers in forests kind of a bad thing? You know, forest fires and whatnot? Well, they seem to work out okay. I do not know enough about the flamethrowers during World War II to see how easily they put forests on fire. But I guess we'll find out. No replay finally sits live. Have I gotten any better at the game? The problem with getting better at the game for me personally is that while I'm increasing in skill, so is everyone else, as I'm still behind the curve. I am looking forward to playing more and more of it though. But at the moment, that's why I have Nicholas here, so he can give me the insight you guys crave, and I fail. What divisions do you find the most fun to play so far? I like the infantry divisions personally, because I like rushing forward early and getting the house battles, and then fail because I play against people in the office that are better than me. So I do like in general, I like the infantry divisions, and I do like having leaders. I'm looking at the window, seeing what Alexander is doing. Okay, it seems like Nicholas is back. Did you manage to find the replay file? Replay file has been found. Okay, it should be in my Slack. So good thing we're still on Nicholas's screen then, and I will download it here, and I will also. Oh, actually, you know what? What I need to do now is. You need to tell me where I should put it, because I've totally forgotten where to put it.
It needs to go in the...
Is it in documents?
No, not in the documents, but in your user folder saved games, Eugen Steel Division.
Let's see, which one is it? It's this one. There we go, and I'm gonna load it up here on my end, and then we have to do the same thing on yours, so we can both watch it. So what we're gonna do is, let's see. No, that's the wrong thing. It's in profiles, and I will play this, and then I will pause it, and then we can do the same thing over there. But we'll have to. Okay, so if we can swap to my screen, Alexander, and with the thing on, there we go. Thank you very much. And then we're gonna. Okay, that's interesting. You can't see this, but Nicholas's screen just freaked out on his end. So what we probably should do then is, Nicholas, since I do want you to control this, we should just swap seats and get this show on the road, and I'll try and fix that computer in the meantime, because I don't think you guys want to wait that much longer, do you?
Okay.
Let's just do this.
Oh, should we...
Actually, you know what?
Should we switch?
Yeah, let's switch these. This is good commentary. Perfect. Ah. Sitting on the wrong side of the screen. This is very awkward. Here's your glass of water, by the way.
Thank you.
Now, I am pretty excited because, of course, we've blocked the replay viewer for you guys because we feel like the replay viewer kind of, if it's a short game, it kind of gives away who's going to win pretty early. However, this is a long replay file.
Yes.
So
really long.
yes, so that'll be exciting.
The timing here also do include the setup phase.
That's true. But let's start that off, and I will try and find out what's happening here. So
we're gonna have to watch them do the setup for a while anyway. So.
Yes. Come on. Oh, well, there we go. Now my now my computer's back. So I'm going to load up the replay on this one as well and then try and catch up to you so we can do some sweet replays if we need to.
So you kind of see them start planning here because they are actually placing beacons.
That's very nice of them. Thank you so much. Let's see. We are... Let's see. All right, we can actually see who has placed what attack beacon.
Yes.
And it's mostly the allies that are communicating to each other and saying, "Hey, this is where I'm going."
And this random Axis help beacon.
Yes, that Milk has put down, which is an interesting choice. Of course, when people play here in the office, they usually sit pretty close to each other. So the health or the help or the attack beacons are rarely used for that reason, because you can just go, hey, how about you attack here? But it's nice to see for us.
Yeah, me and Roland actually used it to essentially pinpoint exact positions, like there is an enemy unit hiding here.
Yeah.
Because quickly trying to explain that when you're doing everything else you have to do in this game can...
Yeah, I can see that.
So let's see what we have going on.
Okay, there we go. I'm gonna load up Steel Division again. The idea from our perspective here, by watching them on both sides, my screen is going to be slightly delayed if everything works out properly, and if it does, we can do instant replays. Which, whoa, who doesn't like the? I mean, the I was gonna see the production value through the roof. Here we go. I'm going to speed up a bit so I can catch up to you. So that, but so when you're setting up for a game like this, I mean, especially when you played last time, how much of the setup time do you need? Because sometimes you can, there's like 5 minutes at most, right? Something like that. Like how much?
I don't think this actually is a max limit, but it will start at when the first player hits the start.
Oh yeah,
it will
right.
Start a countdown.
That's true. That's
giving
true.
everyone else a limit, finite amount of time, and that amount of time will decrease the longer you've already been waiting. But usually not that much. Like we always basically knows what we want to do, but. Actually getting everything out and giving them orders, and here we go, is what actually takes time. And last time it kind of threw us for a loop, since when you observers then resigned, the AI instantly deployed its units.
Yeah, that's...
Which means we had to very quickly replan what we were doing.
Yeah, that was something when because me and Niki didn't see it at first, and then we realized, oh no, this has been changed. Let's see. So it feels like the allies are quicker out of the gate here. The Axis are a bit slow on the uptake. I don't know what's...
Yeah, there's a bunch of the... Oh, I know exactly what they've been doing. He has been giving them a regular move commands instead of fast move commands.
Yeah.
So they're taking the straight route and not following the roads.
Yeah.
That is a mistake, sadly.
Yeah, that's. I mean, some of our players have played more than others, and Cats in this case is a stand-in for Daniel, who's on vacation. And I was like, you can't be on vacation right now. We're doing a Steel Division thing, but needs must and whatnot. It does seem like the allies, at least on the sides, have. They're not. Are they ceasing? They are ceasing. I think they realize what's going on and keep slowly moving forward.
Yeah. It's actually, if you know what to look for, it's really obvious when you encounter a part of the front that actually have no enemy oppositions, because the front line will bulge ahead like a really good distance. If it ever does this, that means there is no enemy competition.
Yeah.
You can basically move with impunity. Almost. There are some units, namely the small recons and anti-tank teams, that actually do not have any border push.
And also, while this is happening, of course, I mean, this is great for the allies getting this early start by the
incoming bomber.
Yeah, because the Axis made a mistake, but they only have 2 recon units out. No, actually, they have a few here, more in the middle here, where Oath and Nolly, that's Henrik and Niki, are. But they don't have anything on what's essentially the allies' right-hand side, so they don't actually. Actually, I say that, and it seems like they do. So I said a thing, and then it turned out to be wrong.
Yeah, and the frontline composition here is you don't want artillery as your like foremost unit.
No. But do you think it seems like the allies here on the right decided to, okay, we know we want to take this area because it's by the front line, and then since the Axis didn't make it there in time, they're now at okay, so do we push forward? And there isn't that much to push forward with. They do have the Ranger leader and the M3 command leader units, but other than that, slowly but surely it's rolling in here.
They're making kind of good strides on their left flank.
Yeah, and this is something we've seen several times in our own streams, where someone has not decided to burst a bubble, or where they're one of the factions just leave a side kind of undefended, even though we as the observers know that there's nothing there.
No, it's actually fairly important to have at least a nominal unit presence across the entire front.
Yep.
To avoid these huge bubbles appearing from like a single unit deciding to simply take a waltz into enemy territory.
And this is interesting, though. If we have a quick look on my screen, which is slightly behind, we do see that Cats has 1 recon unit, but can't actually see much at all here on what's going on because of the hedgerows. So they're pushing into unknown territory.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Nicholas, who's, at the right time. Oh, well, that's not very good.
No,
See if they.
That's a bit too eager.
See, they might be able to get. Well, it's
Something that's going for the Axis is that they have a lot of mortars here.
yeah, and I mean
really shelling the enemy for.
And we saw that in the battle groups as well. That there's a lot of it. Like
yeah, and the Allies mortars are over here doing absolutely nothing. Do they have a I don't think they have a single artillery piece in the entire center area.
No, and I mean we've seen this over and over again in that the center of the most of the units are in the center.
Here actually is the.
Yeah,
I'm still not gonna pretend I can pronounce that.
The Veilwaschwerfen.
Because it does this against a single unit, and then you will have to reload for I don't know how long.
Seems like the Axis MG have found one of the anti-tank guns, and they're pinned down, and they don't have much support. I was gonna say there's a lot of pieces in the center here, and if What do you think as like as the axis here? Is that something? Would you do the same? Would you center your units? Because I feel like we see this a lot, where everyone kind of converges into the center because it's easier. But then you just then you have a lot of units fighting over less ground, if it makes sense.
Yeah, and like my knee-jerk reaction is no, especially in phase A. You don't want to focus your unit that much because you will end up with this.
Yeah.
Like either side actually having a sensible amount of units here would push the front line a fair bit. In phase A, it's more important to have. Oh, now it's actually firing again. Have a consistent unit spread than trying to do this.
Yeah.
Especially since there is several of the factions that have, like for example, the 101 Airborne, I believe, still has it. It has the off-map artillery units in phase A, and if you bunch up too much, this is a lovely position to use it on.
And I guess it is fair to point out that this is, with all of that said, it is harder to get to the sides on this map because the fast roads are actually going through the middle for the most part. There are some smaller roads here, but it's going to take a while to actually get out there.
Yeah.
It seems like Milk is supporting his flank a bit more, at least. There's some more artillery going over there. And unfortunately for... Oh, that's a... Oh, wow. Oh, that's 2 Panzers a few, like 10 seconds ago for you, taken out by Oath here. But they are falling back now after being pressured. So that's not good. And we have another help beacon coming up in the middle. I don't know if that's where either side needs any help, though.
No. I think it might actually have been where to deploy, since there are more anti-tank units moving in, and this is not a terrible position for it.
Mm-hmm. And we have a question. Why are they clustering and not using recon or probing? It's a good question. The reason some of them are not using recon is because they don't have that much. But it was like the Axis do have a lot more recon compared to the Allies. But I don't know. Do you see any Axis recon units out on the field right now? I see the Allies do have some, considering how few they actually had in their battle groups.
There's like one standing here, which is kind of getting blocked by the force straight in front of him.
Run forward. See what happens.
Fighter deployments, but are they chasing an aircraft or what are they doing?
It's a very good question. Okay, so that's an Hurricane from Oath. Seems to be there. I mean, clearly the hedgerows make both pushing and pushing back a lot slower than some of the other maps. And that's an... Oh, okay. So on the left-hand side from our perspective, well, right there, there's been a lot of tanks.
There was a tank duel going on, and now the aircraft deployments are actually really starting up here. Let's see if they can get away, because I think this is a kill guaranteed. Yes.
Okay, well, and I guess that's one of the weaknesses from the Axis. They have very little air. They put...
Yeah, they will lose the air game as it is, and will have to rely on the phase B is starting right now for me.
And this is where Cats on the Axis side had access to all of those Panzer IVs. They're all coming in in phase B. I think it was in total like 13 cards, like two times 5 and 1 times 3. So we'll see where those deploy.
Let's see if they are deploying anything. Yeah, there are some starting to roll.
Yeah, there's slowly but surely, but they keep getting track broken in the same part of the road, where Oath has a lot of...
Yeah, this is one of the few actually more open areas, and naturally there is anti-tank units camping this. So
that's smart play. And of course, yeah, the allies slowly but surely they've been pushing +1 since the start. Unfortunate for them with the slow start of the Axis that they didn't realize and push harder. They might have gotten up to +2 early. Then again, I guess one of the problems with pushing really far early is that it's going to take you longer to resupply. But they seem to be holding their position, at least on the left. And there isn't much opposition, if anything, on the right-hand side.
The right-hand side hasn't moved.
No.
Since the very start, we still have these two single mortar units hanging around, not really doing anything.
And there's the Axis from Cats does have a Panzergrenadier Führer and some Panzergrenadier coming up with one recon, but actually they're just standing around. I don't know. Let's see how much do they actually see if we go to Axis view here. Wow, they see nothing on this side.
They have actually managed to. Alice has snuck one recon unit really far ahead here.
That's pretty impressive.
So yeah, they have decent-ish view of what's coming since it's season.
Yeah, and I mean that's I feel like that probably explains why these tanks on this road keep having tracks broken, keep getting knocked out, fuel explosions, ammo explosions. There should be, like, there's a lot of dead tanks there. Well, knocked out tanks rather, but still.
Yeah.
That's something has to change.
Well, the Panther Force are starting to reach the front line. And they are deploying more anti-air units, which is probably a good idea, seeing as they keep getting hit by allied aircraft currently.
Now, Katz is pushing his Pax 38 forward here together with the Panzers, but there's that's
we have a single lone fighter on some sort of mission.
Well, let's do something, I guess.
Which also highlights that there are absolutely no anti-aircraft guns from the Axis side, or about to be one.
Okay, so
the middle is still stalemating.
Yeah, and they're
not terribly surprised given the huge amount of units on both sides.
It seems to be on my screen there is a Panzer push from Cats here. You're slightly ahead, so maybe.
Nope.
Yep. Nope.
It got bombed.
Yeah, and there's trickling in some more, so maybe for the next push, if they can regroup. But surely what do you do at that point when you are an armored division and you're like, well, the one road I have here, it's just not working. They keep picking them off on the front as well. What do you do?
Yeah, that's the problem with armored on this map. As I said, it will be of limited efficiency because the attack paths are not that many. Like, you simply cannot run armored through the center.
Yeah.
So you will basically be limited to the very few open fields. Basically one here and the one that goes down here.
But do you think at this point, because they do have that much artillery, is it worth it to shift some over and try and hit some of those areas where you expect there to be, where you expect there to be anti-tank units? Because clearly at this point, Katz knows full well that there's a lot of anti-tank around the passage he wants to move up.
The simple answer is again yes. Like,
yeah, I mean it's
artillery the enemy unit. Like, the proper way to push is to use your artillery to first soften up the enemy positions. So you will usually send something you don't mind losing ahead, see where enemy fire comes from, and then start shelling those positions. But
oh, this is interesting though. So Katz actually knows where the steward observer from Oates is. He can see this on the left-hand side. And he does have Panzer Grenadiers, so maybe he can do something about it.
And the Allied right-hand flank has actually finally collided with the Axis. The mortars are shooting.
That said, the troops here in the back have not moved.
Nope.
But there is a more Panzer IV coming in, and that
it's the actually both of them have deployed, and it's the two different players. on the team are both
Yeah.
here, and it's only one of them advancing. They should probably try to coordinate that, because sitting in these buildings don't really help.
No. But that said, with that counter push, the Axis do have, the Allies are only at 53% at the moment. To look over to yours to see that was still the case.
They have actually help. This might be what I mentioned earlier, because they have placed the help beacon straight on top of one of the enemy units, and here we have.
So
and
look at how close that
This
recon
will
unit is
get away.
to pretty much everything.
Yeah, this is one of these two-man recon squads is actually pretty good, because they're really hard to spot.
Yeah.
You need your own recon basically right next to it, and we have kind of an air battle starting.
Yeah, look at this.
The flaked.
So Oath's Stewart on the left, the recon Stewart, is out of ammo, right? Or really low on ammo.
Yep.
And there are two actually Panzer Grenadiers. Could they take that out? They know it's there.
Quite easily. It's just that it's out of range of their anti-tank weapons.
Yeah.
They just need to move up.
So if they move inside the hedgerow or the forest here, they have a chance to take it out.
Yes. Or rather they will, since it currently can't fight back.
Yeah, but I don't think they necessarily know that, but still.
No.
So Milk is pushing forward there past the recon unit on the left.
Yeah, and the Allies' right-hand flank has kind of collapsed. They have...
Which, to be fair, is not that surprising considering what's actually there at the moment.
Yeah, they have their two mortars and a Crusader AA. And that's
Which
it.
is out of ammo?
No, not out of ammo, it's low on ammo.
It's low on ammo, yeah.
And we're starting to see more and more air deployment from the Allies.
Yeah, and at the same time, this is, I think, yeah, so the Axis are actually pushing back here. They're at 50-50 right now.
Yeah, the point taking has stopped.
Yeah, that's great. That's great for them, but what are the Allies going to do here? It's the normal, I'm not going to say normal, but there's still a lot of clumping in the middle. Like, what are all of these units doing here other than...
It's basically stalemating each other. And we have a twin of the tank off-map artillery observer units here.
And the Milk is using his Opel Blitz support units to good effect at this point, resupplying a lot of artillery. Oh, and it seems like once again the Allied front is crumbling, and for the first time, the Axis are actually the one with +1.
Yes,
and that's just 1 minute away from phase C. That's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
We have an infantry column on the Allied left moving up. Try to reinforce that, because this front line has also kind of collapsed. Axis have actually started to push forward on their right. Let's spin it around and see. Let's see what exactly they see. Not that much.
No, and this is once again the Axis are the players that actually have recon units, but they've been pushed back a lot, so it's not that surprising that they don't have that many recon units in the area that they're now pushing to. I mean, it would be great if they did, but
the Allies are slightly better, mostly thanks to this one.
Yeah.
And yeah, they see more at least. Yeah, middle is just kind of locked down from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't really a point in breaking the stalemate, I guess.
No, this is probably a classic example of just try to focus somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because it's so costly to try to push this.
But they do. The Axis are using artillery now that they've been resupplied again on the Allied that are hanging out here in the wooded area in the middle.
Yeah, they've hidden their tanks behind the forest line.
That's
which are now getting mortared.
Which is interesting. Unfortunately for Niki, her mortars and her rifles are being pushed back on the right-hand side.
Yeah, only mortars, because now we have the panzers on the left-hand side as well, and only mortars and infantry without anti-tank weapons is not going to stop the panzers.
Nope. It's has there been any advancement, because the Allies did deploy a lot of units on the left-hand side. Have they gotten anything out of it yet? No.
Nope.
Nope.
There is an Axis observer unit here, hiding behind the woods, so it can't see anything. This is kind of... Oh, and here we have the incoming off-map artillery strikes.
It looks like it's not going to hit that much though currently, but it's probably going to freak out that Panzer.
Yeah, it will. Artillery strikes will only... here we go again. Will very rarely actually kill panzers. It might damage them occasionally, but mostly it will simply panic them, which can be more than enough. But
this is stocks coming in here.
yeah, we are in phase C, so the phase C units have started. Oh, and here is the
Königsdagger.
The actually elite, veteran elite. What they call ACE is the proper term. Königsdagger, rolling up the center.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Niki, her first artillery strike, which I just watched, didn't really accomplish much. What about the second one?
It's going to hit a single lonely...
Well, pinned down straight away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, once again, there isn't that much to push with afterwards. We've talked about this several times. That you do the strike, and then we're either with off-map artillery or with your own artillery, and then you try and push. But it's been slightly mistimed, I think, because there hasn't been much counter-push going on. The Axis up to 53% now.
Yeah, and the Allied right flank, or the Axis left flank, is basically, or rather the Allied right flank is basically collapsing.
Yep.
They deployed another artillery unit, and then howitzer now. So still nothing that can actually kill this panzer.
No, there's some air coming in. There's a lightning.
Yeah, fighters are not going to kill tanks either.
No. So Niki needs to get some units over here.
I don't think any one of them actually had the straight-up tank buster aircraft.
No, I don't think so either.
Because those are actually kind of great, especially in these kind of scenarios.
Yeah, and currently, like so Katz has swapped sides and is now the one pushing on the right-hand side. But once again, this is like there aren't that many units pushing. It's one Panzer Grenadier on the Allies' right, getting a lot of percentages. And since we're at 45-55, you can't just let that happen.
No, I would actually say pushing with a single unit when it looks like this is actually fine, because you run a very serious risk of the enemy simply cutting it off and killing it. So you don't want to really commit anything on that.
No, I think what Katz is doing is absolutely fine. That's what you want to do. I'm slightly worried about Niki though, letting it go.
Now they have actually gotten into one of these towns that I said probably would not matter. So let's see if they actually try to run these tanks through the town, because that will not end well. Yeah,
and we can actually see that both Milk and Katz have more recon units up on the LOS. That's a different game. On the front line. So they can probably see a bit more now. Let's have a look. And as I say that, no, they can't.
Both the Allies are actually kind of deploying across the entire front line, at least. And so are the Axis. Yes, they are. Which at least can get a thumb of approval, because especially if you are playing, say which both are now the Armor Division, Infantry Division, you really do want to mix it up.
Yeah.
Since you want to have tanks in the open field, infantry in the forest, and other such obvious things.
That's a lot of infantry coming out from Katz on on their left-hand side. But the the tanks are still getting busted here in the tank busting route. I'm gonna zoom in and see if so
Yeah, they seem to have switched up because now there's a column of infantry moving down.
yeah,
the...
that's okay. That's a lot of tanks just being knocked out, and it seems like Niki heard our plea and is pushing back on the right-hand side, not letting that stay for too long. Actually, it's not Niki. It's Oath going on the right hand here with mostly infantry, keeping the Sherman back. We'll see what this actually does for them.
Yeah, and so they spotted the Panzer Grenadiers before it got a chance to actually ambush something. Or rather, I think the Panther Grenadiers started shooting at the incoming infantry and got spotted that way.
They have managed to pin down some infantry, but the
yeah, and they are in a building, so they do get an advantage. And if this runs any closer, it's gonna get Panther Shreked.
Yeah, that's Poof. Yeah, that's not how you do that. He said, not knowing how you do that.
Yeah, don't move vehicles too close to units with anti-tank weapons.
That said, 12 minutes left, and now, if I remember correctly, which I might not, the Axis did get the +1 just before the 20-minute mark, which means that if they keep going +1, they have a decent shot at getting the points they need. So the Allies need to stop the bleed, but they don't need to do much, in the sense that if they get to 50-50 or just get some +1 in the next few minutes, they should probably take this based on the amount of points they got at the start. But
yeah, it will be scored a draw if it is within, is it 10% of each other? God, I actually don't know that.
No, I mean we've never seen a draw here on stream, so this is really interesting. We'll see what happens. Oh, we have some surrendered units here, but I don't know whose they actually are. So, but it seems like
the veteran Panzer is actually pushing the middle up.
Ooh.
Or ace, I keep calling it, but strictly speaking, it is a veteran ace since it does have the 2 stars.
And the Allies did manage to push Cats out of that village. They've taken it. They're taking it over. It's still there though. Freaked out. Oh, just surrendered.
This might end poorly because the ace is very close to getting in line of sight of a anti-tank unit here.
Oh, and it's turning too. That's.
Did it spot them?
I don't know. There's a. But it's on the side for the hang on.
No, it does not see them. Oh, it might have been waiting for the artillery support, which is a good unit. Oh, there's a lot of allied aircraft. Good plan, but
oh, bounce.
Oh.
But it's got its side to the M4A1 here as well, and it seems.
Yeah, I'm actually unsure. Nope. There we go.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, and if you want to see the replay, you can watch it on my screen. It's destroyed. Alexander wasn't fast enough. But that's, the Allies must be pleased with that. And we're back at 50%.
Yes.
So...
And they actually got 51, so this is within the...
Yeah, we can see Allies minor victory if they last for the next 10 minutes here. So that puts the pressure on the Axis again to step forward. And Niki has put down another off-map artillery strike on the left-hand side here.
Oh yes, they are. But it's currently not hitting anything.
No.
Sadly.
But she or Oath has paid back the previous land grab push on the right.
I think we have another air kill here also.
Oh.
That is close enough. Yes.
Yeah. So I know that Niki's in the booth watching the stream with Alexander. Oh, that's a dead tank taken out by a Panzer Grenadier.
And here we have a Panther and a Sherman dueling.
Interesting. Yeah, but
there is a Stug hiding here also, or not hiding, slowly moving up.
Yeah. Oh, well, it seems like the Panzer won the first initiation.
Yeah, it's falling back, and I don't think it can actually fall back out of range or line of sight, so
oh,
yeah.
That's the ammo explosion.
Well, the Allies are keeping up on their air game because there's a lot of deployment. What I don't get is why they're deploying so much fighters up.
But do they have anything other than fighters?
They should have. But fighters basically don't really do anything other than kill the other aircraft.
Yeah.
They can strafe infantry units, but they're not like great at it. So, and simply sending them up like this will just get them shot at by flak. Fighters are easiest to use to simply reactively deploy once the enemy starts deploying aircraft. And yes, here we have a lightning bomber moving in. That's
well,
just killed off the front units.
Yeah, that infantry structure is no longer there.
We're still at the 51% for the Allies, and they are moving up on their right-hand front now.
Yeah, the flank game is strong just to get those extra points.
I'm unsure if this center, I want to call it the line of skirmish now as well.
Yeah,
simply because of that.
The front line. Yeah,
the front line has moved at all.
I don't think so. I think the only thing that we can kind of see here is that the Allies have moved some units away from it. They had more units in the middle before.
Which is, probably is a good call, because when it's that big a cluster of units, it actually can take so much energy to push through it. It's usually simply not worth it.
The thing I'm wondering about though is that, of course, the Axis still have a lot of they have a lot of artillery here, but they're not doing that much. Actually, they're out of ammo.
I think they are actually trying to bomb out the Axis air defense here, and sadly failing to do so. And we have a bunch of they have a bunch of anti-aircraft guns that they have forgotten to deploy. They have simply moved up and not deployed.
But at the same time, we on the Axis side, there's a lot of they've gotten some good use out of their support vehicles, resupplying lots of their units, and the fact that they have to resupply their units rather than them dying.
Yeah, that's
good work, Axis.
They have actually resupplied so heavily that their resupply unit is out of supplies, and we were back at 50-50, but the Allies just nudged out the 1% again.
Yeah. No, we can see that on the edges. I think most of the fights are definitely on the sides now. Pretty much everyone has.
Here is the Jagdpanther moving in.
It's about time. They only have 5 minutes to do things.
Yeah, I think this is probably too late for the Axis to actually. They would need to make a very major push.
They need to get +2, +3 as quickly as possible, and even then.
And here's actually a great example of what I meant with the front line hugely bulging forwards when there is no enemy unit to contest it. Because if this happens, or if you pin or kill a single unit and this happens, that means there are simply no enemy units up ahead at all. And well, here comes the deployment to fix that.
Yeah, and I looked over. I looked over the point score. So there's less than there's about 4 minutes and change left, which means that there's 240 +1 points to fight for. Yes, math. And currently the Axes are about 600 points behind, so they need to get +2, +3. So they need to do a massive heavy push because you only get +3 when you are at
65, I think it is.
Yes, exactly. Which it's doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, they have started to moving up. Like there is the Panzers moving up here, which will soon get far too close to the and the tank. There's a Stug trying to move up here, and well, there's a Crumble there, but there aren't that much. And the tank. Oh,
no, they found it.
No, it actually moved up ahead.
Oh,
I think they tried to tell it to give an attack move, and it ran out of cover.
Well, and I mean, I think the reason we see these types of pushes that are, like, you know, pretty likely to fail.
Oh, and they just both got panicked.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do something at this point. There's no, like, you don't get any extra points at the end of the multiplayer match if you have more of your tanks left.
No.
Because this is not destruction.
You're getting shot at by the howitzers.
Yeah,
probably what panicked it, and
we're back at 50-50.
Yeah, and again, it's the allies are fine with this.
Yeah,
it's the Axis that need to make something happen.
But I think we can see if we're just looking at, because it seems like the allies are going to get this. If we compare the way the units are placed now at almost the end of the game compared to at the start, where they were heavily clustered in the middle, few units on the side. Now much more even front. Of course, the supply lines still mean that they run up in columns. But
yeah.
After that, it's a much wider front line.
Yeah, this is a far better unit distribution naturally. And it's like Tiger rolling in far too late to actually do something.
But this happens sometimes when you get for the Axis when they get their cool tanks and they kind of happen too late, and you're like, oh, there's a cool Tiger, but it can't do anything.
No. And this one is actually straight up bailed out in their other offensive here.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure bailed out actually is permanent. So it will simply not move anything. The Jagdpanther is, getting flamethrowered. And panicked because of it and surrendered. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, there's a Cromwell hiding straight behind the forest. That should probably get moving. Allied air game still stays strong. They keep deploying their air units. Which is at least something going for them. But, or going for them. They actually don't need that much going for them since they will win this.
Yeah. But this is, I'm sure since Niki is playing as a stand-in for Zeke, I'm pretty sure Zeke's going to be really happy about that. I do see that we have both Niki and Cats in the booth. So maybe you guys want to come in here and talk about what happened. Since I feel like it's pretty much over at this point.
Yeah, it's 40 seconds left, and they need 800 points. This will.
You'll have to get those stools, and we'll have to come here and sit behind us. I'm gonna get my phone over here so I can turn on the TV again. That's been shut down, so you guys know where you're supposed to be sitting. Well, I think it's at this point we're just watching the last few.
We can still make it.
I did some math, and no, you can't.
This was such an evenly matched game. I loved it.
It was very exciting. You had a great start, because you guys did not fast move early, giving away a lot of points.
Yes.
Was that a strategy you had in mind?
My strategy was try not to fail, so I failed, so...
Yeah, I mean, but...
It wasn't that bad.
Well, at the start it was.
Oh, at start, yes, that's true.
I mean, but
it's
exciting to see that it's nice to see an even game.
If you look at the point or kill death ratio, it's actually reasonably even for everyone.
Yeah.
There's no one that really stood out either as lots of kills or lots of losses.
Oh, I lost quite a lot of people. Bloodbath. Bloodbath everywhere.
Well, you lost the least, didn't you?
Well, that's true.
So, no, no, you didn't.
This is point losses, not
Yeah.
strictly people losses.
Oh, okay.
That's true. One of the things I wanted to know about was from the Axis side. What was going on with the air?
Oh, neither me or my colleague had a lot of air to play with, so not much.
Because I know that one of the battle groups had no air units in it.
Yeah, that was my colleague. No, we went for trying to have some anti-air and to try to not get in there. So in the first phase, I only had the Stuka that I went in with quite early to try to bait them into going
Which
into
worked.
more air.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I thought they would come with air later on. So then they kind of forced me to start using my anti-air and fighters to push them away, which cost me a lot of points to get the, you know, I wanted to use infantry and all that other stuff, which I
only bought a Stuka.
And
but it made it me.
yeah. So then my counter question when it comes to the battle group: what's going on with the recon? Where's the recon at?
There were 2 recons and they managed to survive until the end. That's all I can say. Oh, did you also see? I got his team, and this is like my Achilles heel. They again went behind enemy lines, and again, why? Why do I never learn?
That's true, but this time you reacted a lot quicker than you did last time.
That's true. We managed somehow. And did you see at one point this whole armada of airplanes? That wasn't because I suddenly got like a real good strategy. That was me realizing that I had a lot of points left, and I was like, oh, I am supposed to like. And then I spammed my air, and then we kind of. I'm not sure if we actually managed to get something, but I think it was a really nice match, and it was like some of the air action. I thought personally was quite nice.
Yeah, it was. The Allies did keep up with the air action because there was basically always something going on.
Yeah, the thing we were slightly confused about was the fact that there were a lot of fighters in the air from the Allied side, not really doing that much because there wasn't that many planes to shoot down.
Yes. That is me, because I read on Eugene's site, that blog that I was talking about, how if you like want to, I honestly thought they had a lot of airplanes, so I was like, I'm just gonna bait them into my territory where I have a lot of anti-air and fighters, not realizing that there's so much to pay attention to. So I thought they had a lot of air, which they didn't. So I put a lot of fighters in for nothing.
One final question for me then. So, because we saw at the start as well, both sides kind of focused a lot at the center. Yeah. Like, Niki, you got a lot of area on your right early, but you didn't actually have that many units there. You had like two artillery and...
They were on vacation on that side. We thought that would be the R&D place. They had agreed with the statement, so that's the statement that we will go with. They were on vacation on that side. We had no idea what was happening there.
Okay.
There was a lot of shame on
because
that
we talked a lot about that. I was focused in the middle at the start, but then towards the end, you were both a lot more spread out, realizing that, no, we probably don't want the other team to sneak up and get that extra territory.
That was
also, it was really hard getting through the middle.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't go through the middle.
Did you see the Koningstiger assault?
We did,
happened?
Yeah, we did. We actually saw that. More importantly, we saw another tank being attacked by a flamethrower.
That was my flamethrower. Yeah. They were sent in from the beginning until the very end. They were diehard. They were diehard.
Speaking of diehard, though, I don't think you guys realized that, but good work on the resupply. You managed to actually get your Opel trucks to run out of the supply.
Yeah, like I was amazed when I noticed, wait, I need to send another truck here? What?
Yeah, they can run out, and they will if you keep resupplying your artillery.
Yeah.
Since the Axis did have a good line of mortars in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was sort of a part of the strategy. Turtle up and then have tanks trying to punch.
Yeah. You had a lot of tanks die on your There was a cavalcade of Panzer IV dead. Panzer IV dead.
Yes. I should have invested in more command panzers because they were pushing and then they got like a bomb nearby and they like, nope, we're going back. So
yeah, I guess that's
push.
one of the other things with your battle groups is that there weren't that many leaders around. But there weren't that many leaders on the allied side either.
Yes, and I had a lot of leaders in my deck, which is, like I said, I got like, when you're in the heat of the battle, it was too hard, man. And then later on I sent a bit of leaders, but it was, I don't know, I was quite happy with this match. I was,
Yeah, well,
I was satisfied.
you won, of course you're gonna be
No,
happy.
but like we got stomped by you guys, and I mean, even though that's fun, it's not as fun as being
Winning.
Yes, of course.
Guys, thank you so much for playing. Niklas, thank you so much for sitting here and saying smart things that I wouldn't say. And thank you guys for watching. This has been the second game in week 1 for our in-house league. Next week we will hopefully be back again with more Steel Division. So watch us then. Goodbye for now.